Hello everybody, welcome back. This week, instead of one video, I'm actually going to do two videos. I have a little bonus one for you on one of my favorite topics in the world of language therapy, and that is the topic of core vocabulary. This is, to me, the heart of all communication instruction, particularly for our limited verbal students and students who use assistive technology to communicate. So there's a lot of research out there on what has come to be known as the core vocabulary. And core vocabulary is a small group of about 40 to 50 words. There's lots of different research studies out there and lots of different lists of what people have considered to be the core vocabulary words, and they differ a little bit from each one. But the main crux of the idea is that these are high frequency words, about 40 or 50 words, that actually make up 75 to 80% of all language spoken. So that includes all people speaking. There are words that we say the most often in all of our sentences that carry a lot of meaning, but are not nouns. And those words are considered the core vocabulary. And we, in the language therapy world, focus on those words because we get the most bang for our buck with them. And I wanted to just spend a little bit of time explaining why that is and what the words are if you're not familiar with it. So these words are typically hard to visualize words. So they're words that are verbs, prepositions, pronouns, question words, those types of words that don't have a image that you can pull up in your head. When I say the word cat, I bet you get an image in your head, be it your cat that you have, a cat that you've seen, a generic picture of a cat, but you can picture something in your head. But if I say to you the word in, what kind of picture are you forming? It's hard to explain because in can mean so many different things. You put water in a cup. You walk into a classroom. You put food into your body. There's lots of different ways to explain these words, which makes it really hard to draw a picture that applies to them universally. Okay, so that's one facet of core vocabulary that's interesting, but also something that I really want you to think about as far as the core vocabulary and why we teach them is because you cannot make a sentence without the core vocabulary words. In order to form sentences, you have to have these core vocabulary words. They comprise sentences. And what do sentences equal? Language. When you're putting words together, that's language. When you're just speaking telegraphically, cat, light, water, mommy, you're speaking and you're communicating, but we really don't consider that language. We call that labeling, telegraphic speech, where you're just telling what you want, telling what you see or telling what you want. But when you put things together like mommy up, you're directing someone's behavior. You are adding so much more meaning and so much more richness to your communication. And so teaching these core vocabulary words can really give your kids a world of language that they have not had before. So when I develop language therapy for my students who are limited in the verbal realm or who are using assistive technology, I always develop goals and objectives around the concept of core vocabulary because it is so crucial that they learn the meaning of these words, and they're not going to learn them necessarily from their environment, because if you think about how our kids on the autism spectrum process language, if you've read Temple Grandin's book, she talks about how she thinks in pictures and how she has almost a Rolodex in her brain of all the different images of cat that she's ever learned in her life. And she is able to quickly sift through those images and find one that applies to the current situation. But if you think about kids who have not honed that skill yet, that's going to take them a really long time. And when you have words like this that there aren't images for, you really have to do some good quality direct teaching. So I develop a lot of goals and objectives around the idea of the core vocabulary. I take it really slow and I try to teach them one at a time. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick little visual. So this is one of my students' communication platforms that he uses. I'm going to get a little closer to hope that maybe you can see it a little bit better. And this is what's called the home page. So this is the page of words that he comes back to every time. And I just wanted you to notice there aren't a lot of nouns on there. There aren't. There are links to get to those nouns, but they're not on this page. What you do see is the core vocabulary, like, go, eat, drink. Those are just some good verb examples. Then you have some pronouns over here. You, your, my, I, me. Then you have some prepositions, some concept words over here. All, in, out, up, off, on. So you can see that the way that these devices are structured, these students are getting the core vocabulary by default, because that's how important it is. It is the place that they should start and they should end when they're learning vocabulary. So usually when I start teaching core vocabulary, one of the words that I start with is the word stop. I hope you can see that. I have absolutely no clue where the camera is pointing right now. But I always choose to start with the word stop, because stop is such a powerful word in the English language. That is how you stop people doing things to you that you do not want to have done. That's what that word alone, just using the word stop, can cut off so much communication frustration for students on the spectrum. And it can also direct the behavior of others. It can indicate turns. It can indicate when you're finished eating. There's so many different ways that you can use the word stop, and it will add so much communication functionality. So that's all I wanted to say about the core vocabulary, but it's a big focus for me when I'm teaching language, and I think it should be a big focus for you too. If you just Google core vocabulary, you're bound to come up with lots of hits and lots of different lists. Any of those lists are great. I have been developing some materials to send home to my students' families. If you are at all interested in getting those materials as I produce them, please email me at lrjackson@aacps.org. Thank you for listening to my bonus video, and for all the rest of my videos, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I hope it's helping you.